Following the adventures in the future against Goku Black, Son Goten has grown stronger, as has Trunks. However, Trunks has noticed something change within his younger friend. He knew him better than anyone after all. But the kid had grown distant from his father, Son Goku. His older brother Gohan had proven himself and his amazing power once more, gaining huge praise from Goku. With his new beast form, Gohan trains even more at Beerus Planet, alongside Goku's help. But Goten and Trunks know that they have to keep up. They had failed once before against Black. They had a near-death experience. Now it was their chance to make sure that never happens again. It had been their first real challenge since Majin Buu. They had gotten too cocky. One night, Goten approached Trunks with a proposition. "We need to keep getting stronger, and I have an idea." "Huh? We already got so much going on with school and the Great Saiyan X. What is it now?" "Remember that time Piccolo took us to fight Buu? We improved so much while in there. I think it's time to return." "Ugh, that place gives me the creeps. We were nearly stuck in there forever. We were even stronger than we were back then. Don't worry, we've got this." Goten and Trunks approach Whis about their training, and Whis agrees to train with them for a bit, in exchange for some treats. So, Goten and Trunks load up a capsule full of their best food and head off into the chamber. They are excited to dig in too, but Whis slaps their hands away, saying that they will only get to eat when they've made progress. Until then, all this food is for him. Goten and Trunks' stomachs grumbled, but they smiled. They were excited for this next challenge. Their training is extremely difficult, but only because Whis can tell they really want to improve. In particular, Goten. But there is a problem. His heart and mind are clouded. Whis mentioned this to Goten, but he was a typical teenager, a little bit more jaded. Whis rolled his eyes, but tried to converse with them. Over time, Goten began to understand his power, and how hard Gohan and Goku had to train to get where they are. Whis retold tales from his father and brother, showing events from the Cell Games, Frieza, and the Saiyans. Goten and Trunks laughed when they watched the Cell Games. That was definitely not how it was told to them in school. Trunks picked up quickly in how many times his future self talked about Gohan. It seemed that in that timeline they had a master-student relationship, unlike in this one. As time went on, Goten progressed. Whis acknowledged Goten's peaceful and calm mind. He thinks that it might actually help him to reach something that he'd been training Goku and Vegeta to do for some time. But the conflict inside of him was preventing him from unleashing his full potential. Even if they made progress, clearly this was something he needed to solve with Goku. And this remained in Goten's thoughts. With all his previous experiences, he was feeling uncomfortable with following the same path as his father and brother. He'd felt that he would be like a third fiddle, weaker than his father, less potential than his brother. This wasn't the way to go. He would need to pursue something else. And if he wanted to try and surpass them both, well... Finally, after some months inside, the kids finally stepped out of the chamber. Their bellies finally full. Though Whis had only left behind the stuff he didn't enjoy. It was time to test their abilities, going to the others for a training match. Vegeta, Goku, Piccolo, Gohan, Goten, and Trunks have an all-out battle. Goku and Gohan seem equal at first, and Gohan can even keep up with his father's power as a Super Saiyan Blue, but it was getting more difficult, to the point where Gohan was against the ropes once Goku utilized Super Saiyan Blue Kaioken. This forces Gohan to use Beast Mode. At the same time, Vegeta fights Ultimate Piccolo. It's funny to Piccolo and Goku, as Vegeta and Piccolo had never fought before, and they were both Goku's strongest rivals. Piccolo warns Vegeta not to slack off, or else he'll surpass them both. Goku was slowly starting to push Gohan back. The Pure Saiyan was amping up his Kaioken to the highest limits, managing to strike Gohan with a fierce kick and send him flying away. Goku screamed with all his might, pushing himself against the half-breed. He knew his son was hiding even more power. He wanted to see it. He needed to see it. "Show me all you've got, Gohan!" Goku unleashed a relentless onslaught against his son, pushing him to the very limit. Even if this was breaking his body apart, Goku needed Gohan to not hold back any longer. Goku punched Gohan across the face one last time as his bones cracked under the pressure of the Kaioken. Gohan finally reacted, catching Goku's fists as his eyes flashed an even deeper red. The timid Saiyan screamed out, his aura expanding and electrocuting Goku's hand. Finally being pushed back, Goku had to admit it. This was very exciting. Intense white glow surrounded the area as both father and son went after each other, throwing a punch at the exact same time. But Gohan had a speed advantage that finally finished off his father, knocking him to the ground. Goku calmed down, his hair falling back into place. It hurt a lot, took a lot out of him, but he did it. This new power that Gohan reached was truly something else. Trunks and Goten also battled their parents, impressing them with their skills and abilities. The Kamehameha, the final burst cannon, had all improved massively. Goku mentions how proud he is of Gohan, with Goten close by. Goten gets a little bothered by this but keeps in mind Whis' lesson, trying to remain calm. Goten rushed in at Vegeta, while Trunks charged at Goku as the battle continued. The clash was intense and powerful. Trunks was swift in his movements, while Goten was fierce in his attacks. But Vegeta was holding nothing back. It was clear that he was an expert at fighting. He barely let Goten make a move. But there was a moment where Goten actually landed a punch. Goten was excited, but that excitement turned into a terrified expression as Vegeta's face snapped back to face him and punched him in the stomach. Trunks was faring better, as Goku more or less instructed him. At the end of the day, they had all proven to evolve to their power. After the battle, Gohan, Goku, and Piccolo continued to talk about their training as they headed home. Goku turned asking if Goten was coming along, but Goten said that he had something to do first. As Trunks and Vegeta started to fly away along with everyone, Goten appeared before them both. Vegeta told Goten to move out of the way, but Goten opened his arms, saying that he had to say something. Trunks tilted his head, and Vegeta crossed his arms. Vegeta, sir, what you did back there, it was awesome. The way you fought, I feel as if I want to find a path that's different from my dad and my brother, and I thought, well...
Come on then, spit it out.
I'd like you to teach me, sir.
What the?
Huh? My dad, he's a great dad, but I always feel like I've played second fiddle to Gohan. For once, I'd like to be able to get strong my own way. You can say no if you want, but...
I'll do it.
What?
Tomorrow, Capsule Corp. We will do a trial run.
Goten struggled to contain his excitement and confusion, but he simply nodded and Trunks shrugged. Well, this was what they were looking for. The following day, Goten left his home at the foot of the river to arrive at Capsule Corp. Vegeta was already waiting for him outside, simply telling him that it's late. Goten was confused, the sun had barely come out yet. Goten asked where Trunks was, and Vegeta responded by saying that he left early as well. He had an epiphany late last night, similarly to Goten. He wanted his own path, whatever that means. Vegeta walked into the gravity chamber, where he would submit Goten to the most grueling training of his life. While Goten did have some experience with harsher gravity, it was nothing like this. Vegeta was relentless. He explained that Goten reminded him a lot of Kakarot when they first met, but Kakarot's biggest weakness was his naivete. Goten was surprised at the comparison. There was a reason he had his hair cut. But Goten was just seeing the comparison at face value. Vegeta saw beyond that. Vegeta thought it was weird that Goten wanted to train with him when he already had trained with Whis, but the determination he saw in Goten's eyes told him all he needed to know. There was something Vegeta could teach him that no one else could. At the end of the day, even though Vegeta's goal was to get stronger than anyone else, eventually he wants the kids to surpass him, Kakarot, and evolve past their flaws. In the meantime, Trunks had approached a different person. No, not Goku, but rather Gohan. The idea was simple. He had met his future self and heard his stories, and he admired him to a degree. He knew future Gohan had trained that version of him. But this Gohan was very different. They would be teaching each other along the way. But Gohan had a lot of experience the others didn't, the use of rage and power as half Saiyans. Gohan agreed to train him, though it would be difficult. And thus, some time passed as the Z-Fighters prepared themselves for the Tournament of Power. And thus, the day arrived, and Buu had fallen asleep. They struggled to find a replacement until Goku lands on bringing back Frieza. Trunks arrives alongside Gohan just in time, excited to show off his new power, stronger than ever before. But there's an issue. Where are Vegeta and Goten? If they can't find them, then they'll have to go with Tien and Roshi, but just as they explained this, something came crashing down like lightning, a purple aura surrounding them as leaves flowed and burned around. Goten had arrived by Vegeta's side, standing back to back. Vegeta crossed his arms, eyes closed. Goten cracked his knuckles with a smile. He looked at his father and the two smiled at each other. Truly, he had changed. It was time for Universe 7 to enter the Tournament of Power. The tournament begins. Gohan's main strategy is to lay low and keep his energy until the very end, or at least he hopes so. Being the strongest and also the smartest, without being so pumped up for battle thanks to his half Saiyan blood, him, Piccolo, and Trunks remain together for a good portion of the battles. Trunks fights similarly to Gohan and Vegeta, a lot of powerful key attacks and random bursts of energy. Meanwhile, Vegeta and Goten remain together. Goten battled like Vegeta and Goku, but both kids battled in their own ways too, having learned and developed so much together over the past few years. Eventually, the two left their respective masters. Pushed against the wall by Ribrianne and the fireballs, Goten and Trunks nodded at each other, exploding their ki with Super Saiyan 2 and pushing them back. They high-fived, but they gained attention from someone else. Kale and Kefla, the gang leader and her subordinate, stood back to back as they took on Goten and Trunks, and to their surprise, actually struggled. Goten and Trunks' Super Saiyan 2 was impressive, and the girls were catching on quickly, learning with each punch taken and thrown. Trunks fights Kefla, while Goten battles Kale, each of them complementing the other's personality as well. The battle intensifies as Goten makes Kale angrier and angrier. She keeps it under control, but what really tips her over the edge was watching Kefla smile during her fight against Trunks, advancing further beyond her without her. She exploded in rage. The amazing power made everyone else in the tournament turn around in amazement. Goten realized he had no choice but to go further beyond, transforming into Super Saiyan God. This godly form made Kale struggle, but her power seemed to have no end. Trunks even left Kefla to fight alongside his friend. They were the perfect team, but the Berserker Saiyan got the better of Goten, and he was kicked away and nearly knocked out of the arena if it wasn't for Gohan saving him. Trunks is able to push Berserk Kale a little further away as Goten burst away from Gohan and back into action. They're ready to show the power they obtained after much training. Goten and Trunks take a deep breath, an intense blue aura expanding from their bodies as they show off their new forms. While Goten's hair stood up in a blue flare as Super Saiyan Blue, Trunks' aura expanded to include a golden aura, Super Saiyan Rage. Goku's eyes widen, their power incredible, perhaps even more refined than their own Super Saiyan Blue when they first got it. We then see a flashback to Goten training with Vegeta, getting punched in the stomach and beaten into Super Saiyan Blue. Trunks, on the other hand, meditated with Gohan, as Gohan told him to focus his power and rage, use it as a tool, and not let it control him. Trunks explained that he doesn't have much rage, but Gohan said that he used to feel the same way, until it was time to embrace it. His future self knew that too in the end. Slowly over time, Trunks managed to use that rage into this new Super Saiyan form, even mastering it beyond future Trunks. We come back to the present, where Trunks wipes some blood off his lip. With a giant smirk, this was it. They were doing it. They were going to become the strongest warriors in this generation for sure. Goten and Trunks stared down at Berserk Kale, instantly pushing forward in an ultimate combination. Goten kneed, Trunks hammer-fisted, blitzed behind and uppercutted her into the sky. The two of them stood back to back, firing a Kamehameha and a Masenko that twirled and hit Kale, exploding in various colors. By the time she fell back down to the ground, she was back in her base form, and the half Saiyans fist bumped. Jiren smirked at this display, while Goku, Vegeta, and Gohan all noted how proud they were of the kids. The tournament continues, with Goten and Trunks taking out some fighters such as the Yardrat, Bergamo, and more. Kale remains in the tournament protected by Kefla and Kaba, with then helping her try to control herself if she ever breaks out of her berserk state again. And thus, the tournament goes on as normal, with the Genki Dama unlocking Ultra Instinct sign. But as everyone else continues fighting, Kefla tried to nurse Kale back to health. She was severely injured, though she told Kefla she could still fight. Kefla, thinking quickly, pulled something out of her pocket, a pair of Potara earrings. Hopefully, this would help her friend. She placed them both on, combining into an extremely powerful fusion, Kefla. Kefla announces herself in her boisterous manner, jumping in front of Goten and Trunks, who are both in the middle of messing with Casserole. They turn their heads as they hold him over the edge to torment him. As he begs them to let him go without even looking back, they indeed let go of his collar and he falls out of the arena. Goten and Trunks smirk. They wanted more now, huh? Well, it was their pleasure. Their aura expanded as they rushed to clash against Kefla, but the kids underestimated their opponent this time, as she slashed across the area with ki slices that pushed them away from each other. Goten and Trunks looked at one another with a sweat drop. They had to do this, didn't they? Fight fire with fire? They nodded, getting in place. Fusion! Ha! Gotenks burst out of the blue and golden aura, landing in front of Kefla with a giant smile, his blue hair sparkling with golden electricity. This is very different from Super Saiyan 3. I guess we could call it Rageful Blue. His aura expanded, only for a golden aura to appear on top of it. Kefla responded by powering up into Super Saiyan 2. The two clashed fists, sending shockwaves across the entire arena. The two exchanged multiple different blasts as they battle, both seeming to enjoy it. Maybe Gotenks a little too much. Gotenks mentions that he admired her power. Her strength was really something else, but she was severely lacking in the technique department. She was so boring. Kefla, stunned, asked what he meant by that, and Gotenks told her that he was going to show her. Gotenks immediately kicked Kefla with all his might towards the air, then elevated his arms towards her. An army of kamikaze ghosts started to fly up towards Kefla, exploding one by one upon touch. Kefla, getting more and more angry, started to make a pair of spinning discs to block the kamikaze army. An unrelenting stream of red rays were striking quickly and eliminating the army, but Gotenks just smirked. He started jumping towards Kefla, using the leftover of his own ghosts as protection. Kefla immediately looked at him and was about to attack, but she was quickly trapped by a yellow keyring. This is the godly galactic donut! Before she could even process what was going on, she was sent crashing towards the arena's center pillar. Thanks to the force, she bounced between there and Gotenks' fist, who was attacking her once again. And this is the divine volleyball attack! After one last punch, Kefla was almost on the edge of the arena. She instantly recomposed herself and started running towards Gotenks, but she was getting nervous at the amount of energy she was feeling. This is a little something from our masters. Victory! Big Bang Kamehameha! Vegeta turned his head mid-fight against Toppo to smile at the sight. Gohan cheered on Gotenks, and Goku, well, those kids were truly an inspiration for a fighter. Goku burst into Super Saiyan Blue and whispered, "I'm proud of you, son," before rushing towards Jiren. The giant Big Bang Kamehameha crashed against Kefla, dragging her out of the arena alongside a handful of other fighters. The Grand Priest snapped his fingers to move Zeno out of the way. As the blast dissipated, Gotenks cracked his knuckles, asking who's next. But the fusion popped out of existence, having used a little bit too much power. But it didn't matter, that was so much fun. The battles continue, with Goku needing to recover from the battle against Jiren and giving Gohan Beast a chance at the bat. Jiren was impressed. No other member of Universe 7 had power like this. But it wouldn't be enough. Gohan's beast state is powerful, but the harsh drain on his body gives Jiren the advantage over him. At the same time, Orange Piccolo wrestled against the giant Anilaza, stomping over various foes. Vegeta and Frieza fought together, though reluctantly against Toppo, and Goku went over to the kids to thank them on a job well done, before he was interrupted by Hit, who wanted to face him once more. It was a glorious display of might, truly what Zeno wanted to see. As the tournament wound down and more fighters were knocked out, it seemed like Jiren was powering through everyone. Jiren rushed out towards the fighters. Even Vegeta and Goku were knocked to the side as he tried to take them all down. Goten and Trunks looked at him, as Goten was frozen in fear, but he heard his best friend yell his name, and he knew he had to do something. They fired two blasts at Jiren, who tanked it and kept coming towards them. They tried to jump over him, but Jiren grabbed them by the legs and slammed them onto the ground. It hurt so much, but something held on to Jiren. It was Gohan. He was holding back Jiren so the kids could get away, but they weren't just going to leave him. Just barely enough time had passed since the battle against Kefla to fuse once more. But they had to be careful. Their power would run out very quickly. They fused together, quickly rushing down at Jiren in a combo while Gohan held him. But Jiren simply launched himself back onto the ground, making Gohan let go and instantly pop back to smack Gotenks in the face. Jiren was joined by Toppo and Dispo, while Gotenks and Gohan were joined by Goku, Vegeta, and Piccolo. The battle was intense, since even if Universe 7 has more members, Universe 11 was incredibly powerful and has abilities they just can't keep up with. Vegeta and Goku were locked in battle against Jiren and Dispo, accompanied by Gohan and Gotenks, leaving Piccolo to fight Toppo, but Toppo was smart. He knew what to do. Jiren and Dispo tricked all of Universe 7 into one specific area, standing in a circle, as they were surrounded not only by Universe 11, but other fighters as well. Gotenks' fusion was about to run out. He felt it, but he was about to fire one final volleyball blast. Goku yelled at them to watch out as Toppo used his destruction energy, his Hakai, on the ground, destroying it beneath them. Vegeta and Goku jumped up to the arena just in time, but Gotenks, Gohan, and Piccolo fell towards the abyss. At the last second, the fusion undid itself. Trunks kicked Goten up with all his might back onto the arena as he was eliminated. Piccolo also had a plan, yelling back at Gohan to get Toppo as he grabbed onto him with his stretchy limbs and launched him back up. Toppo didn't see this coming as Gohan's aura turned into a ball around him, just like when he was a kid, and he burst into him, pushing him all the way to the other side of the arena. No matter what, Toppo couldn't leave his grasp. Finally, Gohan dragged him back down and towards the abyss, eliminating him. Perhaps Trunks, Gohan's, and Piccolo's sacrifice was worth it after all. Jiren's eyes twitched. What the hell was that? So, that must be trust. That must be the key to Universe 7's strength. The fight continued, with Goten now having no choice but to face Dispo. He was a little bit less secure in himself now. Not only was his brother eliminated, but so was Trunks. This would be more difficult. At the same time, Vegeta and Goku battled Jiren. Dispo was way too fast. Even Goten's newfound power couldn't keep up, but there had to be a weakness, just like Gohan had found one for Toppo. He started to doubt himself. He started to be beaten down. On the other side, Vegeta was pinned down by Jiren, punched over and over again. Could this be it? This be the end? Goten kept on getting blitzed over and over again, but from the stands he could hear someone. He could hear Trunks, Gohan, Krillin, Piccolo. Everyone was cheering for him. Beyond that, he could hear his father grab onto Jiren to stop him. He yelled out not only Vegeta's name but Goten's too. He could do it. No, he had to do it. Goten's eyes opened up, his aura sparkling once more. There was a rhythm to Dispo. He could count on it. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, there! Goten slammed his head against Dispo's just in time, nearly breaking his nose. Goten punched Dispo just as Vegeta and Goku punched Jiren, finally grabbing Dispo by the tail and spinning him out of the arena. Goten chuckled. That was hard, but it was finally done. He turned to look at his master and father, but he watched as Vegeta was knocked out of the arena and in a last bit of energy, gave what he could to Goku. Goten couldn't believe it. Now he had a new mission. Win for Vegeta. Goku and Jiren continued the battle, but it was clear that Goku couldn't keep up with his new Ultra Instinct. He was getting beaten down severely. Goten jumped in to help, as did 17, who had survived a self-destruction attempt. Unbeknownst to them, Frieza was also hiding somewhere. Goku tells Goten that this is it. If he trusts him, then he has a plan. He needs to let go of everything and just follow his lead. Goten was nervous. This was a lot of pressure. Goku yelled at Goten that there is no choice now, that he knows how much he has grown. Goku said, "Listen, Goten, I promise you can do this. Trust me, just like I trust you. I'm proud of you, son. I just need a little bit more of your help." Goten saw the glow in his father's eyes. He meant this. This gave him the confidence needed. Jiren rapidly approached. The two of them burst into Super Saiyan, cupping their hands together as they rushed towards Jiren. Jiren was going to slam them away, but they separated and revealed 17 firing a number of blasts at Jiren. Goten and Goku spun on their heel behind Jiren as he was hurt by the blast from 17. He then felt the heat of the Kamehameha from the father and the son on his back. Jiren tried to spin and hold it, slowly turning to push it against the Saiyans, but 17 was relentless in the blast, as was Frieza, who jumped in from the shadows and fired several death beams. Goku told Goten to use what Vegeta had taught him. Goten focused. Vegeta had been trying to approach a new form himself, and had been trying to get Goten to step towards it. He couldn't do it, he knew that, but he could use the basics. As Goku burst into Ultra Instinct for a split second, Goten's aura opened into a purple one. That felt very different from Goku's. Beerus set up at this. Vegeta smiled. It was only for a split second. But that was what he needed, as Jiren was blown away out of the arena. Finally, the Tournament of Power had been won by Universe 7. Or was it? As Frieza turned to fire a blast at Android 17, taking him out of the arena immediately. But as soon as he was going to do the same to Goku and Goten, they had already moved in front of him, with 2 key orbs staring at his face. Frieza's face dropped, and he put his hands up, saying that he was just kidding. Goku sighed and went back down to base, turning and shrugging at Beerus. But Goten wasn't the same as his father. He flipped and kicked Frieza out of the arena, causing Vegeta to cackle. Goten wouldn't have done that if it wasn't for the fact that he knew his master would have enjoyed it. In the end, Goten hugged his dad tightly. And so, the various universes returned, as Goku jumped out of the arena and allowed Goten to make the wish, returning all the other universes back. The Tournament of Power ended with that satisfying battle, and Goten now saw his father in a new light. Him and Trunks fist bumped once more, staring down at Kale and Kefla, clearly wanting to battle someday. But first, returning back to Capsule Corp, where they sat and celebrated in victory. The two Saiyans had grown so much ever since the beginning of their training with Beerus and Whis, but it was the training with Vegeta and Gohan that really helped them grow. Now, they both felt that they had a clearer path. Trunks had grown beyond what came before. Future Trunks Bulma, Vegeta and Gohan. Combine the best parts out of all of them, and you get the ultimate warrior. Goten, on the other hand, had to seek other guidance, push himself beyond his family, never wanting to be in the shadow of either Gohan or Goku, but loving them all the same. Goten eventually asked Vegeta just what that power he felt was during the Tournament of Power. Vegeta smirked, saying that it was an extremely early version of something Vegeta had been working up to, using his anger and his differences from Goku to overcome him. He knew that perhaps whatever the Ultra Instinct thing wasn't for him. Perhaps he could figure out his own way. The end. Thanks for watching, everyone. I hope you enjoyed this new story. Having Vegeta train Goten and Gohan training Trunks ended up being an interesting dynamic. I kinda wanna do an independent story where Goten trains under Vegeta and Trunks under Goku. I think that could be fun. Let me know what you guys think. A huge thank you to Rockmain for editing this video. We actually planned out this story together. Also, credit to Nick55 for the thumbnail art of Goten. Don't forget to like and subscribe, as it helps the channel grow so much. Finally, a thank you to the patrons of the channel: Daddy, Cyber Samurai, Kaden, Huey, Beastieman420, Faisal Alshref, Akko, Grim Shadow 227, Giovanni Jimenez, Zanos, D-Man for Life, KV, Hurt Fanfiction, Blaze 9526, Craze PlayStation CK, Free Flow Highway, Jackie Effing Chan, Shane K, Angel MR, True Lightning Striker, Ghost 1571, Lee Urquidez, Kaiser Jirachi, Jonas Paulus, Trench Rules, D-Man Plays 22, Jim G, Always Zero, Jerome Foster, Saliel Paranjape, Keith Grimes, Christian Hellman, Lewis Perkins, Nuka Draco, Hannah Rowan, Midnight Combatant, and Mystic Angel, and Samuel Randall. I always appreciate you guys' support, as it all goes directly into funding editing and artwork for the videos. Anyways guys, I'm SmugStick, and until we meet again, see ya!